In this video, I will show you how to create this viral reel by Natt Jongsala using our very beloved software Premiere Pro. So let's get started. Here is the clip that I extracted from the podcast. I will attach the link to the main YouTube video in the description so you can download the YouTube video and practice the editing in that clip. So here's the clip. First, we need to convert it to a vertical format so that it fits the aspect ratio for Instagram or YouTube Shorts. Let's just make it vertical. Let's just resize all the clips properly.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US.
Okay, so Nat's video starts from here. There is just a transition from this dark one to this, right? This transition is very simple. You can just download some presets and stuff, so I'm not gonna show that. We'll start from here. Here you will see a few things. First of all, you will see the main clip which is there. You'll see some paper falling in the background. There is a grid line in the background and text animations plus Gary's head with a dollar sign in the eyes, right? Let's just recreate the first screen for now. So one thing you'll see that the main subject is rotoed out. In order to add the elements in the background, we need to roto this thing out. So Natt usually does this in CapCut. So there is a thing inside CapCut where you can roto in automatically, but in Premiere Pro we don't have that feature. So we're gonna have to roto somewhere else. You can use After Effects, but the rotoscope feature of After Effects, I don't very much like it, to be honest. So we're gonna use some other software for that. I'm not gonna show you the entire process of the roto. I have done it in a lot of other videos as well previously. I'm just gonna mention you the site from where you can do it. The name of the site is Runway. So if you just type in app.runwayml.com, you can go to this site and you can click on this remove background feature and do the rotoscope yourself. If you want the full tutorial, I have uploaded an Instagram reel on how to do this, so I will add that reel in the description as well. So I did my rotoscope, as you can see in the website, and here is how it looks. Now I'm gonna just drag it over the original clip. We don't need a second audio for now. I'll just drag it over and I'll just place some cuts wherever the previous cut is. And the size is a bit decreased here, so we need to increase it. So this is the rotoscope version which is above the main footage. So let me just change the label to something else so that it's easier to determine. Okay, we need to remove the green screen. For that we have our very old ultra key effect. We'll just drag it over. Go to the FX control panel, select it and change this setting to aggressive. I like to keep it aggressive because it seems much cleaner if we keep it that way. We'll have to copy this ultra key setting and paste it throughout the rotoscope version. You won't see any difference because one clip is over the top, but when you add something in between these two, you can see that. You can start adding the elements now. So first of all, we'll have to add this money falling. You can just type some green screen money falling on YouTube and you will find some presets. Okay, I found this one. This one has a lot of effects, so let's just use this. So I'm gonna just add this money recording thing in between the two layers. Let's just have some more space between these two layers. This is the money green screen effect. I'll have to position it properly in the background. Maybe decrease the size as well. We're gonna use the ultra key effect again to get rid of the green screen. Use the aggressive version and yeah, we should do it. The speed at which the money is falling, I don't really like it, so let me just change it using the time remapping thing. Maybe a little slow.
How rich are you?
Yeah, here the size of money is bigger than the example, but that is what I got find on YouTube, so just let's use this. Don't have to be exact, right? I'm just showing you the process so that you get an idea of how the things work and you can add your own stuff, your own creativity while doing the editing. There's money falling in the background. Let's just keep it till the end. I will add some more motion graphics here anyways, so I'll just keep it till the end. Let me change this view. It's getting a bit difficult to show both. So yeah, look at the reference, there is some grid thing in the background, so we'll add that as well. You just search for this white grid background, you'll find them easily. After downloading this, we'll just add it in between somewhere here. Okay, this thing is hiding the money falling, so we just need the white lines, we don't need the black ones. So for that you can just change the blend mode to something like, yeah, the color dodge works better, so let's just use the color dodge. And yeah, opacity of the grid looks a bit less, so we can decrease the opacity as well. Maybe something around 40% looks good to me. So if you see the reference clip and the clip that we are editing, we're almost getting close. Now you'll see this text effect, right? How rich is Gary V? This is the text effect. So this goes above everything. I have this extension known as Premiere Composer. If you just search for Mr. Horse Premiere Composer, you will find this site and you can download it from here. After downloading and installing, you will get this extension from here, Windows and extension, then Premiere Composer. Here there is a text effect. If you go to the starter pack, this is a free preset by the way, so you don't have to worry about charges and all. You will see this text preset, decode and fade characters. Let's use this. It's quite similar to what is being used here. See, something like this, right? So we'll have to go to the captions and graphics tab now. We'll have to change the text here. How rich is. Now I have to change the font to something similar. And increase the size a bit. Also, we can increase the text tracking to have some more space between the text. This looks good to me. In order to make this white text stand out, we'll have to add some drop shadow. So in the effects tab, we'll just search for a drop shadow and we'll add it like this. So it will add some nice shadow in the background. We can increase the opacity by a bit more if needed. Increase the softness and the distance. So yeah, now it looks much better. So after we do the grading and stuff and we do the dark overlay, the text will pop out a bit more. Let's keep it around here. So the animation it's quite long, right? I can increase the speed of the animation a little bit. From here, from the animation in tab, it was originally 100. Let's just keep it 175 or something. Yeah, also if you look at the example, it doesn't use the entire thing for animation. Like the animation starts from here. So maybe we can just cut off this part. So we've cut off the beginning of the animation and now we have to add the second text, which is Gary V text, this one. So this animation is like coming from the bottom. Let me see if I can find something similar here in the same Premiere Composer tab that we are using. Okay, I couldn't find an exact one, but yeah, this one is pretty similar, so we can use this. This position is in. So I use the bottom one where the text comes out from the bottom. If you see the example, every letters comes at a different pace, right? So, but in our case, the letters will come together. Like, it's not that different, but yeah, I don't have this preset right now to have every letter come in differently. So let's just use this. We'll have to change the position, the size, and the text tracking. Previous one it was 80, so let's just keep it 80 as well. Maybe we can decrease the size a little bit. Okay, let's just keep the position like this, and we can copy the drop shadow from the previous text as well to here. This text is red, right? So we're gonna change the color from here. If you go to the color field, just take this dropper tool and select like this. Okay, this is not the correct one. Whenever you're making any changes, just make sure that you have selected the right thing here in the timeline. Okay, looks pretty cool. Maybe you can change the position a little bit. Also, since it's coming from the very bottom, let's just have it come from this area. So we'll go to the timeline, place the playhead here. We'll select this. We'll go to the opacity under the FX control panel. We'll toggle the animation here to create a keyframe. We'll go to the end, create another keyframe by pressing here, and then in the first keyframe we'll decrease the opacity to 0. So this will have a smooth animation where it starts from 0 and the opacity increases to 100. So that way it doesn't come from the very bottom. We'll have to add the Gary's face as well. So that will be much better in this case. If you just select this two, you'll have an ease in animation and an ease out. which makes it much
How rich are
smoother.
you?
If you just go here like this and drag this thing, the animation is a bit smoother. Something like this. So in the entire scene, we've added almost everything. If you see, now we just need to add this face along with this $sign in his eyes. So let's start with that. I got this portrait of Gary from Google only. I'm gonna use this. It looks the same, I think, with the reference. So let's use this. It should go below this text layer. So we'll pull the text to the top. We'll keep it like this and we'll keep it here. Something like this. We decrease the size a bit. Yeah, this looks better. Let's just look at the reference again. Okay, we'll do this. Let's increase the size a bit. So the animation is he comes from the bottom and there is a little bit of movement there, but we need to add this thing as well in his face, right? White rectangle and some $signs. So let's do that. We'll just move this text layer above so that we have space for other graphics to add here. So for the rectangle, I'll just use a color matte. This is with white. I will add it here. I'm gonna use a rectangle, something to cover his eyes. Like this. You can just find a PNG also of some paper or something to cover his eyes, but let's just do this. Okay, we don't need this feather. Let's just decrease it to 0. It doesn't look very straight, so if you just select these points and use the arrow key, you can have minute adjustments. It looks good enough to me. Now we just need to add these $signs. To add the $signs, you can just use the text tool, which would be the easiest way. And we need to go to the captions and graphics tab to change the color to black. It should come below this text layer. Let's keep it here. Let's just change the font style to something else to make it a bit bold. Something like this. And we can use this rotation, position and scale. Yeah, you just position it properly, whatever you think will look good. I think it's a bit too bold for me. Yeah, this looks better. You just position it properly like this and it will look quite close to what Gary Vee is using here. I mean what the reference video is here. Now we'll have to animate all the three elements, the text, eye cover and Gary together. We'll just nest these three. Select, right click, nest and just name it as Gary. So if you notice, it comes just as the Gary Vee text appears on the screen, somewhere from here. So start the animation from here somewhere. In the FX control panel, we'll take the play to the beginning. We'll click here to generate a keyframe and drag it to the bottom of the screen, like below the screen. We'll go a few frames forward like this and have him appear on the screen around here. So if you just decrease the Y value, he will appear like this. If you play it from the beginning, you can see.
How rich are you?
You can see this. But the animation is not smooth, so we'll select both the keyframes, right click, whatever this is, ease out. Still not smooth. We need to make it more smoother, so we'll click this arrow to bring out the graph and then we'll take the second keyframe and drag this thing like this. So the animation starts faster and it slows down gradually. We might need to drag this keyframe a bit more. A bit more will work fine. Okay, looks much better now. Okay, we'll need to increase the length of this thing, of the nested sequence, like this. Also, you will see that a slight movement is there. There is a wiggle expression that you can use in After Effects, but since we are in Premiere, we're gonna just use some presets I downloaded this movement presets from cinecom.net. You can use this, see which one looks better. We'll just use this one. Yeah, looks good to me. So you'll just find it if you go to their website, Cinecom. And there are a lot of other similar presets as well in the internet. If you just type for handheld movement animation, Premiere Pro preset, you will easily find them. Okay, looks good. Only we didn't add the color yet. You can just add it afterwards from Lumetri. So the first screen is done. Okay, now we'll start the second scene when he says very. So we'll need to add this text. This font is similar to this font, the previous font. So we're gonna use this font only, which is impact regular. Now we need to add this text, this very animation that happens. It ends around here. We'll use a text tool. You just press T on the keyboard, it will appear, and here it is as well. The color is similar to this, and the font should be impact. Also we need to increase the size and the tracking. Let's just hide this bottom layer for now. After increasing the size and the tracking, it comes out something like this. We now have to do this animation. If you see the text, it comes in, like it zooms out from the screen, right? And also there is a slight blur. So let's add that drop shadow here as well. And to do the animation, we'll use the transform effect instead of just using the motion, because we can add motion blur in this one. So after adding the transform effect into the text, we'll uncheck this, increase the shutter angle. I like to keep it maximum, which is 360. So we'll go to the beginning. We'll click on this toggle animation besides the scale. We'll go a few frames forward, click again, go to the first keyframe, increase the scale. Simple as that. Now go to the second keyframe and you'll get this animation. Okay, to smoothen this out, we can do the same thing again as we did previously. Ease in, ease out, click here, change this graph like this. And yeah, we can change the keyframe positions a bit. So it comes in and then it goes out. It goes out around here. We're gonna do the same keyframes but in a reverse way. Something like this. And we're gonna do the same thing here as well. So this is how it works. Let's look at this thing again. Okay, so when the vary comes, the bottom screens fade away, right? We'll just decrease the opacity here. We'll just play with the opacity keyframes to make it fade out, and do the same thing with the other text as well. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, looks pretty similar to the example. The fade out is a bit slower there, so we'll have to just drag it out a bit. Yeah, when it goes out of the screen, we can add some opacity keyframes to make it disappear. I just like to use this ease in and ease out thing. It makes the animation smoother always. So yeah, it's a good habit to have. Yeah, so when the vary comes, this vary thing comes, there are some dollar bills on the background. Now we'll have to make these dollar bills appear in the background. For that, we'll have to find a dollar bill PNG from Google first. So yeah, I got this $100 bill from Google. It's a PNG. In the reference is using a $1 bill, but I thought why we need to be cheap, right? Since we're using free money anyways. So let's go with the $100 bill. So if you see at the reference, the bills come behind him and behind the text. So we'll need to move Gary's image to the top to make space for the bills, and then we'll add it here. Yeah, so it starts when the vary animation starts. You need to adjust the position and the size and the rotation as well. Yeah, let's just keep it 90 degree for now. Let's just hide all the text and stuff so that it's cleaner to work on. Oh, let's skip the Gary's text. The animation should start from here, so we'll bring him from here only. So it moves out like this. So there are 4 copies. We'll make 4 copies. And then we'll start animating them one by one. So we'll have to animate the rotation and the position here. Mainly the rotation. So it goes something like this. But you'll see that the rotation starts from the center, right? So to fix this, let's just decrease Gary's opacity a little bit so that we can see everything clearly. So if you see the rotation, it happens from the center, but we want the rotation to happen from the bottom of the bill. So for that, we'll have to click on this position. We'll see this anchor point. You have to move this anchor point to the bottom of the bill. Similarly, you'll have to do this with all the bills. Now if you do the rotation, you'll see that it moves like this from the anchor point. We'll start doing the animation. We'll put keyframes for position and rotation in the beginning. Go a few frames forward, rotate it like this, move it a bit out from his head. Do the same thing with the second. We'll need to put the keyframes first. Put it keyframes. Just make sure that the keyframes are in the same spacing. Yeah, so after you do the basic animation, you'll see something like this happening. If you see the reference, we can move them out a bit more. You just play with the position and the rotation until you get what you desire, and you'll see this animation happening. Let's just bring Gary's opacity back to 100%. It's not as smooth right now, but we're gonna do it like we did previously with all the other ones. We'll select all the keyframes, right click, temporal, ease in, again right click, temporal, ease out, and we'll play with this keyframes. Yeah, also we might need to drag this out quite a bit for that animation to be smooth. Yeah, looks better for the first one. We have to do the same thing with all the other ones as well. After doing the animation, you will see that this looks very smooth now. So we're almost done with the first screen, like the first and the second screen. Let's just enable everything, all the text and stuff, to see how it looks. Yeah, now we need to do the reverse animation to move Gary and the dollar bills out of the screen. Basically, we will do the same thing but in reverse. So the out animation will start when the text is moving out of the screen. It's from here basically. So yeah, let's just hide the text layers for now and start the animation. We'll move out Gary from the screen first. So we'll do the same thing with the keyframes again, but in the reverse order. To smoothen out the animation, we'll drag this thing and we should be good. Okay, now we'll have to animate the dollar bills. Animation will start from here, and a few frames forward the animation will end. So basically we need to bring these keyframes here. You can just do that by copying the keyframes like this and then dragging them like we usually do. So you'll see that the first bill is reversed animated. We'll do the same thing with the other bills. We'll add some keyframes like for the bills to stay here, and then just make sure that the keyframes position are similar so that the animation is uniform throughout. So I'm just gonna take the reference of the first one and place more animations here. Just copy the first animations, the first keyframes, and then drag that. Do the same with the other ones as well. You can just add some opacity keyframes so that they fade out nicely, this dollar bills. So we can do it around here. So this till the end, I should fade out to 0. Let's smoothen this out. And the opacity keyframe we can just copy paste because the length of these are same, right? So we can do that. Now we'll have to do the second part of the sequence where this thing pops out and everything else behind fades out, right? So this thing pops out when it's going down. So it is still behind all the graphics and stuff. Let's enable everything first so that we get a good visual idea. So the building should pop out from around here and it will pop out behind all these things. Yeah, let's just group all of them together first so that we don't have any issues. So all of this will be together. I'll nest them. Yeah, let's just label them as something different. A violet is fine. Yeah, so the building starts appearing from here and it will be behind this all the graphics. So I will have to find a building that's similar to this example online. So I got this building from Google. You can just search for this dirty city building apartment and you'll get it. It's the same one that they use in the reference. So yeah, that's pretty lucky for us. Now we're gonna use Photoshop to create different sections of the building. Right, so let's get with it. I like to keep the background as a different color, something like this, so that we know if the cuts are clean or not. So first we have to remove this white thing. You just select this quick selection tool from here and click on select subject. It should do the job. Now if we click on select and mask, you can see if it's clean or not. Looks pretty good to me. Maybe increase the smoothness a bit and go with OK. We'll mask this out. Okay, looks good to me. Now let's just hide the background layer for now. Duplicate this layer. If I just click on Ctrl J, it will duplicate. We'll have to cut out the top of the building now. So for that, I'm gonna use this polygonal lasso tool. So let's just cut this part. We need to be clean along the edges of the building, but this part, it doesn't matter that much. So after selecting this top part of the building, you can just right click and then click on layer via cut. So it will cut these two layers. Sorry, let's just hide the bottom one. It will cut this two part of the building. But yeah, the top one doesn't have the previous selection yet. You can just click on this selection and then hold Ctrl and click again. So it will select this selection, and we can do the same thing with the top layer. Just come here and click on this add layer mask. So now you will see this. Both the parts have been separated. Now let's just hide the top layer and we need to create a kind of a rectangular thing here. So for that, I'm just going to use the pen tool. So now I'll select the pen tool and make sure that this is kept as selected. I will have to select it first like this and then select the color. Looks pretty good to me. Maybe make it a bit light like this and click on OK. Now we'll have to use our idea only to see where the edges would be. So maybe something around here. This looks good. The stroke, we don't need the stroke, so let's just it. I'll just click on the shape, use the transform tool to adjust this. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me now. Let's just keep it below this layer. So yeah, it looks clean. Now if we turn this layer on, you can see that we have cut this building perfectly. So now we'll have to export all these layers separately. So let's export the top layer first. Yeah, make sure to export them in PNG and take the transparency on so that we don't have the useless stuff in the background. We'll drag all these parts of the building here. Yeah, so the animation will start from around here. So we'll have to add all the building layers below this thing. So we'll keep the top at the top, the bottom at the bottom, and the mid shape below the bottom. So in order to animate the building, we need to nest all the three parts first. Just to scale the size. Let's just hide the foreground for now and keep it here. And we'll do our animation like we usually do with the keyframes. So I'll increase the building size a bit more. Add the keyframe for position at the beginning, then go a few frames forward. So let's just increase the length first of this. So the building animation will start around here. Okay, let's just do our smoothing with ease in, ease out, what we did a lot of times. Let's just drag it.
Very.
Okay, looks good to me.
Say very.
For you.
Very. When I say very, the average income in
Yeah, so the break happens when he says income, right? For that, we'll have to go here. Let's just copy this audio inside for the reference. We'll have to hide the audio layer inside the sequence, but let's just have it for reference for now. So when he says income, the top splits from the bottom. Now we'll have to animate the top part. Something like this. Or maybe it's too much. This much. Yeah, this much looks good. Okay, we'll need to smoothen this out as well. So we'll do the usual stuff. Ease in, right click, ease out. Drag this second keyframe to the top like this. So the text will come in behind the bottom layer but in front of this shape layer, right? Yeah, we'll have to keep it in between the bottom and the mid shape. Yeah, because it comes in front of mid shape but behind the bottom. Okay, we need to add this thing as well. So for this part, what the reference is showing people working in the office, I just downloaded some illustrations from Google. I'm gonna use them since I didn't got any good pictures for free. So let's just use it for now. So since it comes behind the bottom layer, you'll have to add it somewhere here. Okay, so the size is pretty much up. We'll have to decrease the size properly. So the screen is quite small. Let's just increase it for now. Yeah, this looks better. The one in the middle should be at the top of everything. So just decrease the sizes. We'll add it in the proper position. So after the building opens like this, they will appear. Let's just look at the reference ones. This looks pretty cool to me. Before animating, let's group them together and animate them now. We're gonna do the usual thing with our animations. So this will be the end key frame, right? And at the start, we can just bring them down. Yeah, they will appear like this. And we'll do our usual thing with the okay, looks good to me. Maybe we can shift it a bit.
Income in the US.
Yeah, now it looks
Income
fine.
in the
Now we just need to add the text animation. Okay, I haven't done any color grading yet. So yeah, I like to keep these colors and stuff for the end. And also we don't need to do the same color grading as it is shown here. So the scale keyframes are not needed, but I'd like it to be a bit smaller. 54, 55. Let's just type it out in the screen. 54, 000. At the beginning there will be a $sign. Let's change the font to Montserrat. This is the go-to font that I use whenever I'm in a doubt. This looks good. It will be here, and below everything, like below the buildings I'm in. Now we will have to animate it out. Let's just position it properly first. So for that, it will be much smaller in the scale. To have it in a 3D effect, I will use this thing, this basic 3D effect. Just place it here, and now if you go to this FX control panel, you'll see these options: swivel, tilt, all those stuff. I think only the swivel is enough for us, and maybe a bit of rotation. Yeah, okay, looks good to me. So tilt can be fixed a bit. What do you think? Looks good. Maybe decrease the size a little bit. 54,000, it will come up, then 55 will also come up. Okay, looks good. So now we need to animate where he says 54k. We'll do the same thing like we do usually. We'll add keyframes to bring it out. Maybe we can add some drop shadow here to make it stand out a little bit. So we can take the drop shadow from our previous graphics. Let's just copy it, and here in the building I'll just paste it like this. Okay, the drop shadow is a bit too much. I mean, the distance in the drop shadow is too much, so we'll just keep it around 3. Okay, now for the 55,000. Now we need to copy this thing, this 54 thing. Okay, let's just hide the bottom layer to see if it's clean, and just change it to 55 with the text tool. Okay, it looks good.
This is 54,000, 55.
Yeah, so when the 55,000 comes up, we need to move 54 above it. Like this. And we'll do the usual thing to make them smooth. Like this. I'll do the same thing here. I'll have to do the same thing with the second one as well.
This is 54,000, 55,000.
Okay, it's a bit too fast for my liking, so I'll drag them out a bit. Yeah, same here. Okay, the second one is not smoothened enough.
US is 54,000, 55,000.
Okay, now it looks perfect according to me. So if you fit the frame, you'll see this thing.
Say very. The average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000.
Okay, now one more thing we need to do here is, so when the top comes off, you'll see that it does a zoom in here. So we'll have to add the zoom in as well. Yeah, we'll add the scale in from here. So let's add the scale animations. Maybe we need to add some position keyframes as well. Let's see if we need that or not. It comes to here, I think. Or maybe a bit more we can do. Yeah, the quality of the PNG is not that great. That's why you can see it's a bit blurred. Could have increased the quality by going to any AI website, but I didn't want to waste any more time in this. So it's already quite a long video. So I just went ahead with it. Hopefully you won't see any difference after the grading and stuff. We'll smoothen the scale animation as well. It's a bit too much, so we'll drag it out a bit. Let's see how the animation plays out. It happens like this, like when it's opening, it's zooming out, right? It's opening from here to here. So we'll start the hit here, and it ends here. So we'll end it here as well. Okay, looks good to me. We'll just drag this out, the money animation and the grid thing in the background. So you'll see that when the building comes up, Gary V's background fades away and there is a different background in the screen. We'll have to do that now. It will be behind our entire building sequence. So let's just move it above to make the space. I have to rename this nested sequence to building sequence. So let's view everything first.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the
The only thing that is looking a bit unclean to me is this building coming out just when the graphics get over. So maybe I can add a little bit of opacity in the beginning of this opacity keyframes to make it a bit smooth.
very.
Yeah. And the background will start fading from around here. So the background consists of this sky, this cloudy sky, and the second thing is some dark city buildings in the background, right? So all the buildings are like they are in the same layer or the same image. So we'll just search for some city buildings. Now for the background, I just downloaded this image of cloudy sky, and I downloaded some images of the buildings and mashed them together on Photoshop. I know it doesn't look that clean, but we just need the top part to be good enough. So that should do the work. So let's just add this cloud first. The cloud starts fading in. The cloud and the building together, they start fading in, right? But we need the building after as well. So we'll have to start the fade in from here. Let's add the building as well for now. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Don't need the entire thing. And when the zoom in happens, the building in the background starts going down. Okay, that's cool. We'll need to fade both the building and the background in. So for that, you can just use the opacity keyframes. We'll put a keyframe in the beginning and some keyframes, one keyframe towards the end. We'll just move the first one to 0. It should start from, okay, the clouds are also there. So we'll just copy the opacity thing and paste it in the clouds.
Very.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average.
We need to make this ease in, ease out as well. Same with the building, and just drag them and see how it works.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the
For this opacity one, if we keep the graphs like this, like the normal ease in and ease out, I think it looks much better.
How rich are you?
very. When I say very, the average.
Yeah, this is much better. Also, in the beginning, the buildings are much above, something like this. So the zoom in starts from here. So we'll start the animation of the buildings in the background from here. So it zoom in ends here. We'll animate it till around, I think, here. This looks nice. And we'll do the same thing with the keyframes.
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000.
Okay, I think that animation works. So this is the building, this is the cloud layer. Wait, let me just rename it. It's easier to find things in the timeline if you just name it properly. It's a very basic thing to know. Now, when they say the top 1%, the buildings come down and this guy's face comes up. Okay, so let's go inside the building, like this layer. So along with bringing it down, I just need to do this animation, like where the top is closing in first. Okay, so this is the top. You just have to do this animation, the simple animation of bringing the top down. Okay, this much is enough, I think. And we'll do the same things like we do with the position keyframes. And we'll animate it from here. So this style of editing needs a lot of animation. Once you get an idea of how to do these animations, the editing becomes quite easy. Like once you know how every part moves. Okay, so when the building comes down, this guy comes up, and along with the building, the background building also comes down a little bit. So yeah, we need to animate that as well. It should come down together, right? So yeah, let's just keep the keyframes together. This looks good. Now you'll see I'm not doing any color adjustments and stuff now. Do it at the end. Now the man in the suit comes. Okay, I'll just hide the backgrounds because it's getting a bit laggy along with the screen recordings. I'll hide everything in the background. For the man in suit that comes after the building goes down, this guy, I just generated an AI image of this random dude, which I'm gonna use. It should be around here, and he should be behind the buildings. So I'll pull the buildings above. This thing is also in the background, right? When he comes, the flying money animations. Let's just turn everything on. Maybe not the building and the clouds. Okay, I'll just turn off this building layer. I'll just turn off this building layer because my PC is getting a bit slow. Now we'll just need to animate this guy. Before we animate this, we need to put some covers in his eyes, this red cover. So for that, we'll create a color matte, and which will be red, which we'll put here. And the masking is very simple. We'll just select this rectangle thing, decrease the feather to 0, select this things. I'm just using my arrows because I'm too lazy to use the mouse now. So I'll just use the arrows to hide his eyes. Maybe we can increase the size a bit. Maybe we can just rotate it a little bit. So instead of animating just the man, we have to keep them in a nested sequence. Man in suit. Click on the position keyframes and end it around here. So like we'll go to the first keyframe and just drag him down like this. And this much is fine. We'll do the ritual that we usually do. Okay, let me just render it once and see how it looks till now. So to render the clip in the timeline, you have to come here and render into out. Yeah, my graphics card is good, that's why the rendering doesn't take much time. But in order to play it in the timeline, I have to improve my processor. It's only hexa-core. I need deca-core, octa-core, whatever the bigger core is. So yeah, subscribe to the channel. In order to enable the monetization, I need more subscribers and watch time. So please do that so that I can afford to buy a better PC. I mean a processor with a bigger core.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1%.
Looks pretty good. This thing vanishes because the sequence is not big enough, I think. It's in the building sequence. Just drag it out like this. What have we left? We have left the money falling in the background and this money in the hand animation. Look at this guy teasing with the money. So when the building comes down, the money starts falling as well. So here is the money thing. So we'll have to add it somewhere from here. We'll just cut it in half, copy it, and put it behind the buildings.
5,000. The top.
Why does it hide here? I think we just have to copy this thing.
5,000. The top.
Maybe not here. Maybe we'll start from around here.
The top 1%.
Yeah, looks good. I'll decrease the opacity a little bit of this thing, maybe a bit more. Let's see how much. It's not that much, right? 70% should be good. Okay, now go to sequence, render into out.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55.
Okay, the buildings went behind the clouds. My bad. Let's render it again.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1% of earners in America make 400.
Okay. The building sequences are going off, right? So we'll have to increase the length of all this thing till the end. Yeah, people in office as well.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1%.
Okay, now I think the last thing of this very complicated sequence is this guy waving his money at us, and this text animation is just a preset we can put. So yeah, I got this money in hand image, fortunately. So I'm going to use this from pngwing.com. I just love this site, man. They provide a lot of PNGs for free. I made a reel for this as well. If you haven't seen my Insta profile, this is the right note to promote it here. It will start from here and it will be behind the buildings. So we'll need to have some more space in the timeline. So it will be here. We got the wrong hand actually because I couldn't find the left hand. So we can do one thing. So I'm just going to use a flip. It should be a horizontal flip. So if you just put the horizontal flip, you can turn the right hand into the left hand. It's a very good thing to have. I have to make the hands bigger, man. It's too tiny for his face. Yeah, this around here we can keep. Yeah, let's just look at the reference again. It comes like this. So we need to add some rotation frames also. And in order to move it properly, we'll put the anchor point around his elbow part. Bring this anchor point around here. So at the beginning, this keyframes. Yeah, at the beginning it should be like this. And the bit like this. Then it slowly comes into the screen. Let's see. Let's just hide the background. It's making the PC fuck slow. Yeah, looks good to me. Now after the first animation is done, I will smoothen it out like this. I can spend some more time to make the animation better, but the video is already too long. So I'm not gonna waste the entire weekend in making this video. I'm just gonna animate it like this, like this. Like waving his money. Basically, you just do this thing throughout the animation. And at the end he just goes out of the screen. So the going out and the fading out, after that nothing happens. So I'm just gonna end the video after this animation is done.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1%.
This things fade out is not looking good. Like the money that comes in the background, let's have a opacity keyframe for that as well. So we'll have the 70% normally, but in the beginning we'll return it to 0. So that it fades in properly.
1%. The top 1%.
I don't know what happened, but when I do this thing, the money like hides only. So I'll just have to move it a bit towards this side.
The top 1%.
I will let this cross dissolve here because the opacity keyframes are not working here for some reason. Sequence render into out.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1%.
His hands are moving quite fast. We don't want it to move this fast, or else it will mean something else. I just need to space them out properly.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1% of earners in America make 450,000 a year and
I think I can make it slower, but let's just skip it. Now the last thing is to add this 450,000. So for that, we can use the same preset that we used earlier. In our first sequence, you remember this one? Yeah, we're gonna use the same thing. Bring this here. Just add here $450,000 and change the color to red. We can increase the spacing here because this text should be behind the building, right? Also there should be space between the text. What happened to the opacity? I don't need it here. This looks good. This should be fine.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1% of earners in America make 450,000 a year and above.
Yeah, the hand motion is still taking me off the wrong way, but yeah, the video is already too long. So I'll just keep it like that. And after this, he just fades out everything. And yeah, there is just simple text animation. So I'm not gonna edit anymore. This much is enough for you guys to understand how the edit works. And the last thing is color grading, right? Yeah, let's just take our own play into the color. One thing you'll notice is that black thing that happens in front of the screen, like behind all the graphics and stuff. There is this dark overlay kind of a thing in the background. So this is the first sequence. I think I'll add that thing behind everything that's in the foreground, because if you notice this dark thing is in the entire sequence, like from the beginning till the end. So we'll need to add it everywhere, right? So just for that, let's create a color matte. The weight should be more than 1920. The height is 1920 is fine. Let's just keep the weight as much as possible, because we need to feather it out as well, right? So yeah, now drag it out as much as we can. Same this side, I'm using the arrows. Let's increase the size of the screen again. And now we can do this feather, mask feather. This will feather out the thing properly, like this. I think I feathered out a bit too much. 200 is enough. And we can decrease the opacity. Yeah, this much should be fine. What they did here is, see, the background is also dark, right? That's why it looks quite similar.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say very, the average income in the US is 54,000, 55,000. The top 1%.
It should come before everything, but not before the first graphics. It should be below the first graphics and before everything. So it should be like this.
How rich are you?
Very. When I say...
Yeah, now it looks better. When the building comes out, yeah, it comes out like this only, from the dark. So on that note, I think we can increase the feather a bit more.
How rich are you?
So we put this behind the first sequence of graphics, but in front of all the other graphics. So that way this thing looks good. Now we'll just have to see this color grading, right? So let's just hide the raw clip and create the green screen clip. So we'll go to the color grading tab and grade it in our style. I really don't like this blue and yellow kind of face too much. I'll try to keep it similar to that, but I'll use my own taste as well. So I'll just speed through the grading process because it's a creative choice, so you can grade how you want. So this is how the thing looks after grading. I'll go with a subtle teal and orange style. I'll just copy and paste it above all the other layers. If you look at it, he has made the background a bit darker than the foreground. We'll add the different lumetri color for that, so that we don't mess up our first grading. I think we'll need to add this with the grid as well. So the grading of the main footage looks pretty okay to me for my taste. So now we have to make Mr. Gary a bit bluish, kind of this tone. So inside the first sequence, and here's our Gary's sequence. So we'll just go to the FX and search for RGB, yeah, color balance. Just paste it here. You'll see that it is a bit bluish kind of a tint, right? So in order to have it bluish, you'll increase the blue value to around 100 and decrease the red value and the green value. It's a bit too blue, I think, so maybe we can increase the green value a little bit. Also from here, I think we should decrease the saturation a bit as well, so it looks pretty much similar to this. You increase the saturation, maybe increase the exposure a bit, and the highlights, maybe in the contrast also. Now if you go to the raw clip, now for the other parts like the building and stuff, it has a similar tone to what Gary has. So let's just copy this color balance and the lumetri color thing first and paste it in the building sequence, right? And I think we can paste it to the backgrounds as well. I think it's better if we have the background is a bit darker. Yeah, that's true. If we keep the background a bit darker, it's much better. Same with the clouds. And this thing is reddish, right? So it was a bad idea to add everything, like to add the entire thing as blue, because some elements we need different colors. Delete it on the top, and we'll just go below. We'll add the buildings as dark, and we'll have to add this as reddish, like the people on the middle. So we'll just go to the FX RGB, we'll add it to the people layer, and we'll increase the red value. We'll decrease the green and the blue values, so it is like this. That is how we want it to look. Yeah, something like this. And now if you just see the reference again, the text is kind of a white and with a little bit of transparency, right? So for the transparency thing, we can just decrease the opacity a bit here, maybe to around 75%. Yeah, that should be fine. This guy has a similar tone to all the stuff, so we'll make it like this as well. Yeah, something like this. Maybe we can increase the exposure of this guy a bit. Maybe increase a little bit more of a green tone. I'll just copy these values and add it to this money in hand as well. Also this part, the saturation looks a bit too much for me. This thing, saturation needs to be decreased. This needs to be decreased here as well. Yeah, you just play with the colors and see whatever looks good to you. We are pretty much done with this. The money is also that color, right? Okay. So I was pretty quick with the color grading. If you spend more time, you can like fine tune it and make it better, I guess. But yeah, it's already quite a long video, so I'm just gonna end it here. The last thing are the sound effects, which I'm not gonna do because yeah, this is enough for this video. Yeah, and one more thing before I go is that I purposefully missed out a few things in the video which I didn't mention in the editing. So yeah, if you can find them, just comment below and I will see who has a better observational skill. Now this is a real bye.